on, sing show us. So show us your glory. Show us your power. Show us your glory, Lord. Show us your glory, Lord.
Show us your glory. Show us your power. Show us your glory, Lord.
Come on, show us today.
Show us your glory. Show us your power. Show us your glory, Lord.
Come on, one more time, lift your voices in this place.
Show us your glory. Show us your power. Show us your glory, Lord. The heavens, we want to see you. Open up the floodgates, a mighty river flowing from your heart, filling every part of our praise. So open up the heavens, we want to see you. Open up the floodgates, a mighty river flowing from your heart, filling every part of our praise. Yes, God.
And when you walk into the room, everything changes. Darkness starts to tremble at the light that you bring. And when you walk into the room, every heart starts burning. And nothing matters more than just to sit here at your feet and worship you. We worship you. Come on, let's sing that again. And when you walk into the room, everything changes. Darkness starts to tremble at the light that you bring. And when you walk into the room, every heart starts burning. And nothing matters more than just to sit here at your feet and worship you. We worship you. Oh. And we love you.
And we'll never stop. Can't live without you, Jesus. We love you and can't get enough. All this is for you, Jesus.
And oh, Jesus. When you walk into the room, sickness starts to vanish. Every hopeless situation, it ceases to exist. And when you walk into the room, the dead begin to rise, 'cause there is resurrection life in all you do. So come and consume, God, all we are. We give you permission, our hearts are yours. We want you. We want you. So
Come and consume, God, all we are. We give you permission, our hearts are yours. We want you. We want you.
come on, stake that out.
Come and consume, God, all we are. Give you permission, our hearts are yours. We want you. We want you. So come and consume, God, all we are. We give you permission, our hearts are yours. We want you. And we want you. 'Cause we love you. And we'll never stop. Can't live without you, Jesus. We love you. And we can't get enough. All this is for you, Jesus.
walk into their calling. Father, you anoint the instruments, anoint their vocal cords, God. Bless their finances, bless their children. God, bless them. God, I pray, Lord, that right now sickness has to leave. Financial famine has to leave. God, spiritual blessings on Cody and Bethany as they bring our music and bring our students to the level that you're calling it. Father, we give you praise and we give you honor. In Jesus' name, now take your offering and your tithes and I want you to hold up. I want you to remember that May 21st through the 26th we're having a revival. Tonight we are not having service so you can spend with your mom. If you need to know more, get a bulletin. How many know God loves a cheerful giver? Father, I thank you, Lord, that you're meeting the needs, you're exceeding the needs, and you're blessing the needs. Father, we ask you, Lord, to bless these tithes, that which is required of us to keep famine from our lands. Father, I ask you to bless the offering, the faith offering, believing that you're going to do something in their life. When we release offering, God, we know that it is for you to open up windows of heaven and pour us out a blessing. I ask you, Father, to bless both the gift and the giver, pressed down, shaken together, running over, in Jesus' name. At this time, as a sign of worship, as they continue this song, I want you to bring your tithes and offerings to the front and lay them in the box.
We love you, and we'll never stop. Can't live without you, Jesus. We love you. We can't get enough. All this is for you, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. Just sing, we love you. We love you. We'll never stop. Can't live without you, Jesus. We love you. Can't get enough. All this is for you, Jesus.
Just a sweet, sweet spirit. Come on, hands. Session yesterday. Are you ready? You ready? We ready back there? I just asked you to be seated. Pastor Dana is a lot behind the scenes. She does a lot more than most people realize. And when you hire me, or God hired us, and I've said this to her, she has a greater anointing on her than even I. And as I was praying and doing Mother's Day, and I know that everybody expects Pastor to get up here, and trust me, I got 52 other weeks to brain damage and step on toes. But sometimes you have to have a launching point. And I know my wife has sat behind the scenes and she has done everything, but I know God has gifted her in preaching, teaching, whatever you want to call it. Because I've had the visions, she's had the visions, that she's standing in front of women. But she's so timid and meek that she won't just jump up there. So sometimes you have to push her. Amen? And I want to say that I appreciate her and what she does. She is a phenomenal woman, mother of my children, and a minister of the gospel. But at this time, we're going to have Miss Jessica. She's going to message in song with interpretation, what she's doing right now. And then I'm not going to take up any more time. As soon as she's done, then Pastor Dave's going to come up and minister in the Word. But don't go anywhere. For you clock-eyed people, don't go anywhere. Because all these to be yours. Faith the feeble, amen. But enjoy this time of worship through interpretation as Jessica comes.
I have to believe. He's got everything under control. I have to believe. Yeah. Oh, Lord, I believe. Help my unbelief. I have to believe in you. Yeah. I have to believe.
Is it on? Yeah, okay. Okay, well, first of all, I'm just going to get it out of the way. I'm extremely nervous. So, and y'all know I'm a crier, so I'm going to cry. That song, though, like, I have to believe. I have no other choice but to believe. What do you have that you have to believe in today? Our text this morning, and it's a text that we've all heard. It's about a lady that she had no other choice. No choice but to believe. She was desperate. Have you ever been desperate? I'm trying to quit crying too because I don't want to cry through the whole thing. Her desperation, it was so intense that she determined to find her answer. And this morning, I want to talk about turning your desperation into determination. Webster's Dictionary, I wanted to give you the definition of those two words. It describes desperation as a strong feeling of sadness, fear, and loss of hope. Determination as a quality that makes you continue trying to do or achieve something that is difficult. You ever been desperate before? I have, about a lot of things. So desperate, though, that you wanted to see it come to pass. You have to believe that this had to happen. Has to. I have no choice but to believe that this is going to happen. That's when your desperation is turned into determination. I want to take just a minute before we go any further, too. And if you have to, close your eyes. But I want you to think about a situation that maybe now you're back for so long to be released. And this morning, as you can tell from my picture there, the lady with the issue of blood, she was so desperate that she was determined to find something that would change her situation, something that would make her whole again. She'd searched and she had searched. Nothing that she did helped. Nothing changed her situation. It stayed the same. And our text is from Mark 5:25 through 34. Now, a certain woman had a flow of blood for 12 years. Yeah, you can stand if you want to, sorry. And she had suffered many things from many physicians. She had spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. For she said, "If only I may touch his clothes, I shall be made well." Immediately, the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt to her body that she had been healed of this affliction. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that power had gone out of him, turned around in the crowd and said, "Who touched my clothes?" But his disciples said to him, "You see the multitude thronging you, and you say, 'Who touched me?'" And he looked around to see who had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your affliction." For 12 years, no hope, no end in sight. And in those days, this issue that she had, according to the Levitical and the Mosaic laws, she was considered unclean. And according to the rules of these laws, she would have had to have lived a life that was put apart. When you put something apart, it's set apart from everything else. She's here, everything else, everyday life is over here. She was put apart from her everyday routine life. There was no routine anymore. And I don't know, I got to thinking, was this lady married? Did she have children? You know, did she have to take care of a sick mother or a sick father? It doesn't say. But, you know, my imagination gets to wondering, and I was wondering, you know, was she married? What if she had been married? She was not able to take care of her family the way that she was supposed to. And I don't know, but, you know, if she had been married, maybe her husband would have divorced her, would have let her go, because she was not able to perform the duties that she was supposed to perform in that day and age. So she maybe possibly had lost a husband. She'd lost a family. She was unable to care for her children. Her unclean status would have also meant that she was unable to attend temple or other religious ceremonies. Any of her daily activities were gone. I would say it was probably a lonely life. Probably got pretty lonely over those 12 years. It goes on to say that she had suffered a great deal from many doctors, that she had spent everything she had to pay them, but instead of getting better, her condition only worsened. I like the way that the Message Bible puts it. It says, "A long succession of physicians had treated her, and treated her badly, taking all her money and leaving her worse off than before." So she's put apart. She can't be with family. She can't attend temple or religious services. All of her daily activities are gone. She doesn't have a normal routine anymore. And then I got to thinking, it took 12 years for this lady to spend everything that she had. I don't know, but 12 years is a pretty long time to me, especially to spend everything that you've had. And nowadays, I don't know about then, but nowadays, doctors are not cheap. So, you know, it took her 12 years to spend all of her wealth. And I got to thinking, what if she was wealthy at one time? What if she was a woman that was held with high regard and respect at one time? That would have been stripped from her by this one issue, this one condition that would not seem to go away, that she could not find a cure for. So everything she had was gone. She lost friends, she lost family, possibly her status in society, her earthly wealth. Everything she had was taken from her because of this one issue. Everything she was gone. Everything that she wanted was gone. Everything that she needed was gone. All because of this one problem. She had a limited social life. Friendships diminished. Family time was limited. I don't know about you, but if I had limited social life, as much of a hermit as I am, I do like to be social a little bit. I'm a homebody, but I do like to have interaction with people. That was gone. Family gone. Friends gone. Would have led to a life of loneliness and depression. And I want to stop there for just a minute. Loneliness and depression. It's one of the worst feelings in the world. And I know because I was delivered from depression, of years of not feeling good enough, of years of not feeling like anybody cared, of years of feeling alone. There was nothing that anyone could do, nothing that anyone could say that was going to make me feel any better. And I would say that this woman probably lived in a depressive state, in a lonely state. But that's the lie. The loneliness is the lie. Because his truth, the truth, his word says that God is in his holy dwelling is a father to the fatherless and a champion of the widows. And when we seek the Father, he will give us another counselor. See, he sent the Holy Spirit for us. So no matter if Mark leaves tomorrow, I still have the Holy Spirit. I'm not alone. You're not alone. God is our refuge and our strength, a very present help in time of trouble. We're never alone. I would say this situation, this one problem, led to a life of frustration. You ever been frustrated over something? Your husband, maybe? Your children? Yeah, I have once or twice. Frustration, it's something that can sometimes get the better of you. Those situations and those issues that cause you frustration can sometimes consume you. And we're so focused on the issue and the frustration. It consumes your thoughts. It consumes your sleep. It can change your attitude. It can change your way of thinking. And it can rob you from a life of peace. But again, frustration is the lie. Because his word says that we are to cast all of our cares upon him because he cares for us. He says, all who labor come to him because his yoke is easy and his burden is light. And then a life of bitterness. I would say that she was probably bitter because of this one situation, because she had been stripped of everything that she was and everything that she had prior to the 12 years. Who she was not who she is now. And I would say that it probably caused some bitterness in her life. Bitterness can lead to a lot of other issues. Bitterness will eat you from the inside out. Have you ever been bitter before? Are you going through bitterness now? Bitterness can cause physical issues. It can cause emotional issues, mental issues. Bitterness will literally kill you physically if you let it go long enough. And I'm going to share something else here about bitterness too. Y'all, I've all heard the story of Mark's mom and how she wasn't in our lives for a long time. And you know, I had to walk through some forgiveness with her. Because her rejection cut deep. And it did. It made me bitter. It made me bitter. And I looked at my sister and her relationship that she had with her mother-in-law, and it made me jealous because I wanted to have that, and I couldn't. I couldn't have that. And bitterness leads to jealousy. It leads to hatred. It leads to anger. There's so many things that bitterness can cause on the inside of you that's not pleasing to God at all. None at all. Bitterness leads to so much. I don't even know. You lose your happiness. You lose your trust. You lose your joy. But his word says that he is love and that we should show love. And I believe that because he forgave us, we have to forgive. It doesn't matter what's happened. It doesn't matter what they did. We have to forgive. And I had to walk through that forgiveness on my own with Mark's mom, knowing that one day I'm going to see her again. And then this issue would have led to brokenness. And I wanted to look up brokenness too. And the Webster's Dictionary, it defines it as separated into parts or pieces by being hit or damaged. Not properly, not working properly, not kept or honored, cut off, disconnected, made weak or infirm, violated by transgression, or a promise not being kept. You ever felt broken? You ever been lied to? Yeah. It can cause insecurities to rise up. It can cause a feeling of self-doubt and worthlessness. It can cause you to question everything about who you are, and it can cause you to question your existence. That one emotion and one feeling of brokenness can cause you to question everything about you. And that one's a lie too. Because it says, his word says that he is near to those who have a broken heart and saves such as have a contrite spirit. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Isaiah 55:15 says, "For thus says the high and lofty one who inhabits eternity, whose name is holy. I dwell in the high and holy place with him who has a contrite and humble spirit, to revive the spirit of the humble and to revive the heart of the contrite one." He mends the broken pieces. He mends the broken heart. He mends the broken families. He mends the broken homes. He mends the broken marriages. He mends the broken emotions. He mends the broken mind. All these feelings, the loneliness, the frustration, the bitterness, and the brokenness, all led to one hopeless situation. It led to a life of hopelessness. Hopelessness, it can make you feel like you don't want to go on, because what's the point? I know I have said that before more than once. When I was dealing with depression, I did. What's the point? I didn't even want to live anymore. Why? There's no reason. It was a hopeless situation here. Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to help the circumstance. Doesn't do any good to try. But you don't have to live a hopeless life. Thanks to him. Psalms 34:5-4 says, "I prayed to the Lord and he answered me. He freed me from all my fears. The oppressed look to him and are glad. They will never be disappointed." Isaiah 40:31 says, "But those who trust in the Lord for their help will find their strength renewed. They will rise up on wings with eagles. They will run and not get weary. They will walk and not grow weak." To get out of your loneliness or your frustration, bitterness, brokenness, hopelessness, your situation has to change, or your point of view about your situation has to change. Because sometimes that situation is not going to change. It's just life, and we have to deal with life. But when we change our outlook on our situation, that's when we have hope. See, this takes me back to this woman. She had exhausted every bit of her resources. Everything. None of the doctors could help. There was nothing else that she could turn to that was going to change her situation. She didn't see a way out of her hopeless situation. And then it says she heard about Jesus. She heard about the miracles that he had performed. And she said, if I can just touch his robe, I don't even have to touch the man. All I have to do is touch his clothes, and I can be healed. He was her last resort, so to speak. She'd done everything else she could. Last resort. Doctors couldn't help. Nothing helped. I can kind of picture her now, because it says in the Bible that everyone was pressing around him. It says that everyone was pressing him. Okay, remember, the Levitical and Mosaic law says that this woman was unclean. Whoever she touched meant that they were unclean too. So this woman, here she is, knowing her situation, knowing that when she touches these people to try to get to this man, she's making all these people unclean. So I'm probably going to say, like that lady there, she's got that, whatever that's called, over her head. And I'm going to say that her position was probably not one of comfort. And sometimes we have to get out of the comfort zone for our position to change. And I can imagine this woman, she's got her cloth or whatever that's called up over her head, and she's probably trying to hide her face because she doesn't want anybody to see who she is. Because if anybody sees her, what are they going to do? So she's hiding. And all these people are pushing up on Jesus, and she's trying to get to him. Is there a way? Can I get through these people? And she's pushing, and she's reaching just to touch that garment. If only I can touch his garment. She went through the uncomfortable phase to reach her promise. It was her obedience and her faith. Because in the Message translates, Jesus asked, "Who touched me?" And the Message translates Jesus' disciples' response. In verse 31, they say, "What are you talking about? With this crowd pushing and jostling you, you're asking, 'Who touched me?' Dozens have touched you. Dozens have touched you." But he knew the minute that this woman touched him, or touched his robe, that healing virtue had went from him. And I believe honestly that it was her obedience and her faith that brought her healing. It wasn't the fact that she touched his robe. It was the obedience and the faith, knowing that if I can get to him, then I'll have my healing. I'll have my answer. I'll have my promise. And I want to go back to the question that I asked at the very beginning. What do you have to believe in? What do you have to believe? It was her encounter with Jesus that brought her promise. It wasn't being in the same area with Jesus. We can be in service every week with Jesus, but when we encounter him, that is when we receive our promise. That's when he comforts us in our loneliness. That's when he calms us in frustration. That's when he walks us through the forgiveness of our bitterness. That's when he puts the broken pieces back together. And that is where we find hope in our hopeless situation. It's in our encounter with him. He's the one that provides. He's the one that gives us peace. He's the one that heals us. He is the strength and our power. He is present. She was in the presence of the Master, of the I Am, the only one that could give her what she needed, the one that could make her whole again. And it's in his presence and his presence alone that our desperation can be turned into determination. So I ask you again, what are you desperate for? Are you desperate for an encounter? And as the musicians come, I want us to just close our eyes for a minute. I know it's Mother's Day. But I also know that there's some hurting people in this place this morning. If you don't know him this morning, he's here. He wants to make you whole. He wants to mend the broken pieces. Father God, we love you. God, thank you that we can encounter you this morning. If you need prayer this morning, I don't care what it's for. If you need prayer, these altars are open. Lord, you are holy.
Walk into the room, everything changes. Darkness starts to tremble at the light that you bring. And when you walk into the room, every heart heart starts burning, and nothing matters more than just to sit here at your feet and worship you. We worship you. We love you, and we'll never stop. Can't live without you, Jesus. We love you. We can't get enough. All this is for you, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. And when you walk into the room, sickness starts to vanish. Every hopeless situation ceases to exist. And when you walk into the room, the dead begin to rise, 'cause there is resurrection life in all you